Namaste. It is Michael David at mysteryislands.net. And please check out my shop over there at mysteryislands.net. The DVDs, jewelry, and nice little shop, and support the channel. We're going to talk about the Druids today, and I thought I would show you my secret garden. Perhaps a bit of the design can inspire you. I've tried to make it charming with a little meditation bench there, and you can see another one underneath the bougainvillea if you look carefully, and a hammock and greenery and wind chimes, and tried to make it just a quaint and charming retreat from the world to go into meditation or relaxation. And I hope that you can do the same as well with your space. Okay, so the Druids, this is going to be more of a general lecture because specifically they chose not to write down their teachings. They believed in an oral tradition of passing things on word of mouth and memorizing. And so therefore there's not a lot of written documentation about the Druids. So their time in history was about 1500 BC in the region of Ireland, or the UK. And they lasted about 2,000 years, a big chunk of time in history, to about 500, 600 AD. And they were a group of people that preferred hidden teachings. They liked to go off deep into the woods and perform ceremonies and rituals. They had a program for learning knowledge. It may take 5 or 10 or up to 20 years. You would learn the various arts. It could be anything from astronomy to justice and law. It could be herbal medicines. It could be philosophy or religion. They did believe in reincarnation and that the soul is immortal or eternal. That may have caused them problems later with Christianity as far as the reincarnation, but we'll get to that. And we'll also address Stonehenge. My research into Stonehenge is that the original inner circle dates back much further, and that there were mystery stone builders before them, who I believe were the Anunnaki, but that the Druids knew enough about astronomy and their alignments to the equinoxes and the solstices that they were very comfortable using the stone monuments, and they had that ancient mystic knowledge, and they would use them for rituals, etc. So it's interesting because when I look at today, the modern rituals of Wicca, I see a lot of parallels. And so those of you who are maybe drawn to this, perhaps you were a Druid in another lifetime, or just really resonate with the Celtic mythology. There are a lot of Wiccans and pagans today, and you can be involved in that, and a lot of worshiping of the Mother Earth, of the Gaia, and it's a very natural way of living amongst the planet, and natural foods and healthy ways of being integrating with the environment instead of destroying the environment. So there's a lot of good things there within the Wiccans. So the Druids, like I said, were also known for the Wicker Man. Some people believe that they burned a giant wooden statue of a man during their ceremonies, and they may have done this, they probably did, but what the controversy is some people think there were human beings inside of the statue that they were sacrificing, and I don't know if that's true or not. the Romans conquered them when they came north, and they may have implied that. They were trying to convert people over to Christianity and make Christianity seem more palatable at the time. And we don't know, but there's a good movie from about 1973 called The Wicker Man you might want to see. And there are people out in the countryside, perhaps, that have done rituals to the gods for the bountifulness of their crops, etc. It's an interesting notion. But overall, like I said, during this 2,000 years, they established many pagan holidays and rituals and beliefs. And when they were finally kind of overwhelmed by Romans and Christian conquerors, some of these pagan holidays and rituals, it was easier to incorporate them into Christianity because they wanted to sway the masses over to it rather than try to destroy it completely. So that's what happened along those lines. So there's always in every society the Hierophant, and that's, if you look at the tarot cards, the Hierophant is the person who chooses a spiritual path. And in the Catholic Church, it would be someone who becomes a priest, or the Buddhist, it would be a monk. In my faith, religious science, it would be someone who becomes a religious science practitioner. And there are retreats and centers where you can go off and live very cheaply. You can work at the centers and devote your life to spiritual studies. I live by a small town called Ojai, California, Ojai, and they have several meditational centers where you can go and work things out and pursue a life for 6 months or a year of spiritual cleansing. And there's Sedona, Arizona. So those are two places to start with if you feel that calling. If you just are wiped out by just the difficulties of the business world and the cruelty of the politics and the war and everything going on, you may choose maybe later in life to focus on spiritual studies. So that's what the Druids did during their time. And by the way, they wore colorful robes like white or red or black, and these would signify the areas of study and their level of proficiency as well. And like I said, I'll leave it at that. I'm fascinated by the Druids, and there's all kinds of interesting books you can read about the topic, and it's a large chunk of alternative history that's important to us in the field of metaphysics. So one last thing is, because I study so much of the ancient alternative world, I want to throw out a few modern alternative sources for you, like I discussed with going to Ojai or Sedona. There's a source of news called The Next Level News, and that's the name of their website. It's called The Next Level News. And there's a really smart guy who runs it named Mike Barra, B-A-R-A, and I've met him several times. He's an authentic person. He's just like he is on TV in real life, and passionate about alternative history and topics. And I'm going to start recommending some modern alternative news outlets and websites to be current and keep things up to date and not just deal with ancient mythology. So I'll leave it at that. I'm Michael David at mysteryislands.net. Please check out my eBay shop. You can link it through there, and my movies. All right, take care. Have a nice day.